One can make the argument that limits are indeed meant to be broken, and it's no secret that we've seen many limits indeed be surpassed in the world of Dragon Ball, some with brute strength alone, others through emotional outbursts. And in this video today, myself and my guest Emosh are going to be discussing Goku's potential new Super Saiyan form or technique, alongside the changes that we've seen in Goku's demeanor in Dragon Ball Super as Dragon Ball Super advances, focusing more on his personality and motives. Now, Emosh, I wanted to say it's nice to have you back on the channel, and there's a lot to talk about here today. Now, if you guys have any comments to add in on your own, go on ahead and drop your comments down below. Now, first things first, I want to talk to you about Goku's new potential Super Saiyan form / technique that he may possess, because we want to focus more on what we saw during the Dragon Ball Super introduction, and more or less we've seen it before. We've seen the previous Dragon Ball Super intros when we saw the Battle of Gods arc, the Resurrection F arc. Each individual opening had a sequence to where Goku became a Super Saiyan God and or Super Saiyan Blue, and now it's a little different. We see him just being engulfed in this, red-like burst of energy, and we don't know what it is. We see him smiling, however, underneath this, energy-like wall, but we don't know what it is. So I wanted to get your take on if you believe this is going to be somewhat of a Super Saiyan form or technique, because several people are a little torn by this, and I want to go back and talk about the manga a little bit, because in Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 19, it was clear as day when Zamasu spoke about this, and he said, once someone has mastered, or at least perfected, the powers of a god, they don't turn blue, but they indeed turn pink. Now, I'm not trying to say that Goku's going to have a pink form. What I'm trying to say is maybe this is going to be equivalent to Black's pink form, in a sense to where instead of Goku becoming blue, he becomes red or somewhat of that color, which resembles the ultimate pinnacle of what it is to surpass the powers of a god. So do you believe, my first part question is, do you believe that it is possible that Goku can achieve that and kind of break that limit to where he goes beyond Super Saiyan Blue? Or do you believe this is just merely a technique? Because what Zamasu referenced in the manga, I think, plays heavily into what's going to happen, especially even with the theme intro, Limit Breaker. So do you believe, in your opinion, it's a form or it's a technique? And do you believe that down the line, it's possible for someone like Goku and or Vegeta to break past that Super Saiyan Blue limit and achieve something higher?
All right, well, first, thanks for having me. It's always appreciated, and hello to everyone. And as far as Vegeta, since that was like the last thing I heard, that's completely up to the developers. We know Vegeta usually tends to get like the short end of the stick. He's always last on the list to get anything, even though I do feel like he deserves a little more play. He trains arguably a little harder than Goku, especially as of lately, especially in the Goku Black and Zamasu arc. I think he did put more effort, but again, I think that he was just stripped of that. But is a new transformation possible? Me and you have both covered this in our own individual videos, and we both brought up some similar points, and we both had some differences as well. One of the main reasons I felt like it could be a new transformation was because from a business perspective, it's like likely the only way to go. It's a staple model when it comes to Dragon Ball evolutions, not Dragon Ball evolutions, but the evolution of Dragon Ball as a whole and the evolution of characters as a whole. Everybody wants to see a new character concept, new designs, new artworks, and it goes back to when I think when me and you were children and we were watching Dragon Ball Z. And Goku first turned Super Saiyan, then they gradually kept growing from there. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that each and every one of us probably put ourselves in that position at one point. Like, oh, imagine what it would be like to power up into Super Saiyan 3 and all this other stuff.
Of course, we all probably did it at least once we were kids,
And because I know I did, as embarrassing as that may sound now that I'm a little older. But I think from a business perspective, and right now, I think that's the only thing we can base that on.
It sells toys, brother. It sells toys. So it sells a whole lot of merchandise.
Right, games. It allows people to create downloadable, DLCs, posters, toys.
Now, I don't mean to cut you off, but bringing in the marketing aspect, do you think that's kind of oversaturating the forms and always trying to milk every form for toys for profit? It's like I get it from a business standpoint. It's like, all right, you have to make your money, and when you're ran by a giant corporation and you're a part of this, you can't really say no to that because money speaks for itself. However, do you believe that actually devalues the meaning of a Super Saiyan or like the form in which it stands for?
It depends. Again, there are a lot of people out there who are actually collectors. So if you manage to pull yourself a Super Saiyan Goku from the Frieza arc or something like that, whatever figure that you have, it tends to be more valuable down the line. So the more the new generation tends to focus their eyes on Dragon Ball Super, And what I mean by new generation is because nowadays I think Dragon Ball Super started off in a way where they were trying to get new people to watch the actual show.
And that is why they retold the movies in the form of arcs, yes.
Exactly. So now that you have new people watching, they have to cater to these new fresh eyes. They don't want to, not a lot of people understand what Super Saiyan is. They just, right now, they only know what Super Saiyan Blue is and maybe Super Saiyan Blue, Kaioken, all this other stuff. However, I do think from a marketing aspect, it is good for collectors. It does increase the value of the legacy transformations and legacy toys, things like Broly, like Goku and stuff like that. So it does give that a little more value. However, I even pointed out in my video where I said that I think as a whole, granted that Dragon Ball Super majority of it has been a fan service, so to speak.
Oh, definitely.
It would you would actually take away your fan service if you were to just oversaturate, like you said, the whole concept of evolution by just throwing in new forms. But I will say though, to bring up your point when you referenced the manga, I actually left a comment on your video. I'm not sure if to those of you who didn't see it. And I actually forgot to add something in there. We know that the developers always base their concepts of anything in Dragon Ball, whether it be characters or anything. Like if you look at Bibbidi, Bobbidi, and Boo, that was based off of basically just that, right? It's based off of something. So I feel like perhaps to touch on your point, if Goku Black's version of this form was a pink form, meaning a pink rose, at that time Goku was a blue. A blue flower, which could be like a violet. So roses are red, violets are blue, and this new form could represent his version of a rose form, which could be red. So you have the concept of roses are red, violets are blue. That's if they decide to take that. So it's just, again, I'm not confirming that. It's just a different twist on it. Hopefully you guys can agree or disagree. It's up to you. But I will say that do I honestly, in my heart, feel like it's a new transformation? I do not. I feel like at this point Goku has always been, regardless of his demeanor, which I know we're going to touch up on in just a minute, I feel like he's always been, regardless of how much of a douchebag he's become or how much of a hero he's becoming, or whatever you guys see him as, I do feel like he's always been the type of character to master his abilities before he reaches something else. That's what always allowed him to break the pinnacles of power. If you go back, I feel like the title of the new opening intro, Limit Break or Limit Breaker, is like I said in my video, a testament to how far Goku has become. Granted that the majority of the video is focused on him fighting the Deadshot looking character, we don't know his name yet, but I think, and he gradually takes things up a notch until eventually he powers up into that red form. And if you think back to every time Goku has been matched in his Super Saiyan Blue form, he would always resort to the Kaioken to get him out of tough situations. And nobody in any other universe, other than Champa and people like Hit, but other than people who've seen it already, are aware of what the Kaioken is. It's a unique technique that's specifically unique to Goku, and that was taught to Goku by Kinkai.
Imperfect technique, yeah,
right.
You're right.
So I think if you want to add a fan service as element to this arc, having him master that Kaioken and make it something he can gradually use. I don't want to say something he can use naturally, because by design the Kaioken wasn't meant to be used naturally.
Oh, however, of course not. Yeah, because I remember King Kai told Goku many years ago that it puts a lot of strain on your body, and it can really mess you up, like, emotionally. I mean, we've seen that previously when Goku used Kaioken against several characters when he fought Vegeta and stuff.
But it wasn't perfected.
No, it was bad. I mean, his body was completely blown out. So yeah, I can see your point on him mastering that, because that gives him leniency down the road. I mean, I would say the only time Kaioken did not come in handy in essence was after he was able to use Kaioken against Zamasu. He kicked him down, but then he fell back down. Granted, I mean, even though his arms were busted and he was tired, who's to really say that Kaioken would have saved him then? However, I want to ask you personally as a fan, would you prefer this to be a form or a technique?
Technique.
Technique. Okay. Technique. So for reasons being that you believe
because I'm an old school
would be
fan.
More sufficient?
It would. Okay, it allows for development of the character. Okay. That's one. And if you were to introduce a new form now, granted that I'm assuming this isn't going to be the end of Dragon Ball Super, right?
Right.
This arc is not going to be the end of Dragon Ball Super. That has not been confirmed whatsoever. If that's the case, to introduce a new form now, how long would you... I mean, technically, we did get Super Saiyan forms for quite a few years. And before everybody says, no, we had Super Saiyan 2 and 3, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying the concept design was the same. Golden hair, The only difference was the change in maybe his face when he turned Super Saiyan 3, the length of the hair,
and of
stuff
course
like
the way the ki flew throughout the body. Because
Right.
I think it was
Electricity.
harder for Goku to
Right.
use Super Saiyan 3 as he kept going, because as he kept
Right.
transforming, he was
Right.
more accustomed to it. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, but the general consensus and the design, it always had a staple. It was based on blonde hair, right? The golden warrior, stuff like that. It was just minor changes in the body, and electricity, things like that, increase in strength, stuff like that. But now we have Super Saiyan Blue. I mean, we had Super Saiyan God. I actually like the whole look of Super Saiyan God. I don't know, something about him and his base form. He looked kind of cartoony. I think it was a little bit too contrasty. Maybe if they made him dark, like the shade of red that we see now, that would have been cool too. However, that's just something complete. I will say though that this new form is very reminiscent. If you remember that false Super Saiyan form he turned into when he powered up into his Kaioken in the Frieza saga,
Right.
he had those little pieces of yellow of the Super Saiyan aura, but mixed with the red. The red aura from Kaioken was dominant.
And the same thing can be said about, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the same thing can be said about when he fought Lord Slug and he began to tap into that. Yeah, he became a false Super Saiyan. Yeah, right.
Right. So if anything, this could be the start of a new form. But I also feel like, again, granted as to what's at stake, some people could argue me and say, well, it's because Goku is a daredevil. He'll always resort to his, to the craziest things to win. No, Goku's a fighting genius. He's not a daredevil.
And we're going to get into all that in a little bit too. There's a lot to talk about on that.
Right. He's a genius. He would not do something, especially as to what's on the line, what's going to be revealed to be on the line. He wouldn't do something that would be that crazy where he doesn't even know if he could do it. The whole Universe 6 and 7 tournament, when he did that the first time, the whole Kaioken thing, not only was it fan service, but he even said a 10% chance of it working. If it didn't work, he would die.
So much for 10%, right? He used it several times after.
I think, but in the Universe 6 and 7 tournament, he clearly said Kaioken.
No, definitely. But I found it to be a little ironic how he said it's a 10% chance that you get to live or die. However, we saw him use that, Kaioken technique over and over again. With still, does that 10% chance still count? Has he become more accustomed to it?
He's lucky.
What was that?
He's lucky.
No, yeah, he's very lucky.
He should gamble.
I would have to just respectively disagree with the whole technique versus form. I would have to go with a new form because you talk about, all right, well, how far can we push this form before the overall series ends? Well, the same thing can be said about Super Saiyan God. Super Saiyan God was legit introduced, well, in the movie, of course, once. And we've only seen it once, and then we saw it in the arc in Dragon Ball Super, maybe like for 4 episodes or so, and then we've never seen it again. This, I think, should be a form, because going back to what Zamasu spoke about, even going back to the manga, when Vegeta told Goku at some point, Kakarot, we're reaching the limits of our powers. Let's just be very wary here, because we're overdoing it. I mean, we've been training now for years, so we're slowly edging the very limit of our powers. So what a better way to have a song called Limit Breaker, even though it may not apply to the show.
I guess you're right.
It's a great narrative to have, because Goku was always the person to break limits. When he was in the time chamber, right, with Gohan, for the very first time, he found out for himself that, yeah, you can surpass Super Saiyan, but he saw that his son was able to break that limit and become a Super Saiyan 2. And just when you thought you cannot get any stronger than an Ascended Saiyan, even by Piccolo, as he talked about it, we saw how Goku became a Super Saiyan 3. And even though I don't want to include this because it's non-canon, Super Saiyan 3 went to Super Saiyan 4 in GT. Even counting now, when Goku was on King Kai's planet and doing his own thing, and Beerus confronted him about this Super Saiyan God, he was dumbfounded. He was like, what's this? Like a new level of power? Like, what is this? And he became a Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue. He's always been one to break that limit. So, yes, and if you want to sell toys, if you want to cater to the fans market-wise, and you want to include DLC and all that kind of good shit, yeah, sure, have a new form. But the only reason I would say to include a new form is because I want to see Super Saiyan get maxed out. Like, if you're gonna max it out completely, no more levels, there should be one more level that exceeds that of a Super Saiyan Blue. Not to the point where he's heavily OP'd to where he can fight the Grand Priest and everybody, no. But to the point where he realizes that, yes, I've just tapped into this. I don't know what it is yet because I haven't really utilized it. But however, thinking about what's on the line here, it's do or die. If you fail, I destroy everything. You can't go home. You can't go home.
Of course.
So having to look back on how he sacrificed himself with Raditz, with Cell, when he spoke very vaguely to Vegeta about Buu and how Buu killed everybody, and that pursued Vegeta to work with Goku. Everything he knows is on the line. So when you're at a point where you're getting beat down, and you're getting beat down bad, and who's to really say that the masked warrior that he's fighting isn't going to beat him down? Because we don't know that.
Right.
He might be equal to or greater than Goku in power. However, when there's a point, even emphasized in the trailer, when Goku's fighting in his Super Saiyan Blue form, and it looks like he can't really go as much because, you know, he even went from fighting him in base form to fighting him in the Super Saiyan Blue form, and then he went to fighting him back in his base form. So I would like to see a new form, but not to the point where he can use it regularly, but to the point where he can go back to...
If it's a false form, maybe,
he can go back to Whis and be like, what was that? Like, how do I go back to that? And Whis can talk to him about, well, you went through some changes, you need to figure it out. And then that can pursue Goku to be like, shit, I want to achieve that again. Well, because even in Battle of Gods, he wasn't happy. He was like, well, how come I didn't achieve this?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, because he didn't achieve it on his own.
In Battle of Gods, he was upset, because once Beerus said, aren't you happy that you achieved this form of power? He said, no, I'm not happy because it's not mine. I did not achieve this. Hence why, you know, we saw him become selfish as the show progressed. Now, speaking of, you know, differences in opinion, you talk about technique and forms. I want to go back to that very thing, since we're moving on to the subject of selfishness. Goku's demeanor has changed. Nobody can irrefute that. There's lots of irrefutable factual evidence in the show to support the theory that Goku has evolved as a character into a selfish, reckless kind of person. Why? Because as we spoke on off camera, we saw how he went from being a noble person into pursuing Vegeta and persuading him to work with him, into, you know, making all these sacrifices and putting other people ahead. And now he went from meeting Beerus to wanting to compete and become a Super Saiyan God, to finding out about Universal Fighters and wanting to fight them, even to the point where now he's disrespecting Beerus. Now, people might ask, well, what do you mean, Alex? How is he disrespecting Beerus? He's not obeying him. He's not listening to him. He's treating him like a sidekick. And Beerus even said, you're becoming a problem. And for the sake of the universe, you want to keep, you know, associating yourself with the Omni King, you're going to become a real, like, nuisance to this universe. So I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on the changes in character? Because he's no longer, I would have to say, the noble Goku. I mean, yeah, he's still noble, and don't take this as, oh, you're bashing Goku. I love Goku a lot. I really do. We're just talking about his evolution in the show, and we're just giving our criticism here. So don't take this as an attack towards Goku. First of all, he's a fictional character, so let's just leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that. So I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on the way he carries himself now? Very cocky, very arrogant, and someone might say, well, what do you mean he's cocky? Whis even pointed it out. Whis in Resurrection F said to Vegeta, you're too hard on yourself, take it easy. And he told Goku, your overconfidence is gonna get to you, and you know, you always tend to drop your guard as well. But he's cocky and he's very naive. So I wanted to ask you, like, what are your thoughts on that? Is that gonna cost him possibly, you know, the tournament, or is that gonna lead him into becoming greater?
I think, well, that was a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot to take in. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I like these kinds of discussions. Okay, I think here's where I don't want to put the full blame on Goku. Obviously, the writers have portrayed him to be this way for a specific reason. But aside from that, again, based on, I love character analysis. That's like my forte. I love it. Okay. And based on that, I have to blame his supporting cast too. And when I mean his supporting cast, I mean the other fighters that at this point in time have been around through thick and thin with Goku, but at the end ultimately always relied on him to pull them out of the water. And I do. So hear me out for a sec. I know by race, Saiyans are the epitome. Like there's no race other than, you know, the Saiyans. As far as the mortals are concerned, that are stronger than them. They have the most potential. They have everything. But I will also say that if you look at like guys like Piccolo, who should be, if you ask me, he's the total package. He's a fighting genius. He knows how to fight. He knows, even, you know, if you were to give Goku the thought process of Piccolo, you know how scary he would be.
Man.
But again,
Jesus Christ,
right? But it's even him. But now they've succumbed to using Piccolo for things like, well,
babysitting.
If you go back and babysitting and doing the videos like in the Goku Black and Zamasu arc where they just used it, right? They selfies and video chats and stuff like that and all this other stuff. And I do feel like it's not just him. Again, we have Gohan, we got Krillin, we got all these guys who should have some kind of input, and especially in terms of fighting. Again, even if, and now a lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, what the fuck are you talking about? They're weak compared to like a majority of the guys that their Goku and Vegeta are facing up against." I'm not talking about that. I'm saying they literally just sit back and watch Goku and Vegeta do everything, and that's a problem. And when you have that, when you have a group of people that are like that, and you are the sole person who is responsible for being stronger, not only for the sake of the people who you love, for your planet, for everything, eventually you're going to get to a point where it's just like, you know what, I've dedicated the majority of my life to these people, to everyone else. Where's my time? And I think now, even though Dragon Ball Super has obviously shown Goku to be selfish, and again, I even said that he's selfish. I even said that he has been troublesome, and his nature has been very troublesome in all of these arcs as of lately. I will also defend him in the sense where I say that it's only natural. What was everybody expecting to happen? It's gonna come to a point. Again, he's immortal. He's not a god. You know, he's not perfect. He's gonna get to a point where he's, you know what? Now it's about me. Dragon Ball Super is obviously about Goku, and it's about him being stronger. If it's selfish, whether or not it's selfish or not, is up to, you know, that's up to the viewer. But at the same time, I will not entirely knock him entirely. I'm gonna knock his supporting cast. And not Vegeta, but everybody else except for Vegeta, I have to blame as well, because they don't necessarily show that they're willing to put themselves on the line as well. They're always quick to talk about Goku. Goku will do this, Goku will do that. Goku had to go back and forth in time and do this and fight against Beerus and fight against Frieza and fight against Goku Black and fight against Zamasu. And now apparently, according to the opening intro, he has to fight this guy too. So the emphasis is on Goku, and it's only natural that at this point in time he is, so to speak, like you mentioned, they're bringing back the selfish Goku, the Goku that is more worried about what he wants now. So is it a bad thing? Yes, because it's harming everybody else. But at the same time, you know, he's not perfect, and I think that's what we're being given at this point.
Now, you're bringing up a lot of interesting points in terms of, you know, it's more or less about him now, and it's always been about Goku. It's always been his story. However, it's his evolution in saying no to Beerus and saying no to Whis and doing his own thing.
Yeah, that I have a problem with.
Even when Beerus specifically said, "You don't know what's going on." You know, it's not about his charm. It's not about, you know, the Omni King's innocence. Innocence can be, you know, deceiving, and don't let Omni King's, you know, appearance deceive you. You don't know what he's capable of. And Goku said, "Well, yeah, I saw him destroy the universe in front of me," and it's almost as if he just doesn't care. And I really think that's gonna cost him at the tournament. I think that
I agree.
He's gonna get very comfortable. He's gonna say, "Well, I was expecting more. Is this all the competition that there is?" And someone's gonna come along and someone's gonna beat his ass. Whether it be the Deadshot guy, whether it be Winnie the Pooh, whoever it is, someone's gonna walk on over and they're gonna beat his ass.
I completely agree with that, because I'm not defending him for disrespecting Beerus and Whis, because at this point, Beerus and Whis have done everything for him at this point, and for him to just turn. I mean, again, you see, people gotta understand. I just defended Goku, right? And at the same time, I can't defend him. I can't. There's a limit, and Goku passed that limit. He's known for breaking limits. And ironically enough, since we're on the topic, the opening is called Limit Breaker. So he breaks literally every kind of limit, whether it be limits of power or limits that he shouldn't even, you know, limits of just moral responsibility. He breaks those too. So I agree with you. I don't condone him just turning his back on Beerus, the same person who spared his life, by the way.
Exactly.
You know, he spared him, and we trained him and taught him everything he needs to know up until this point. And still, Goku wants to do things his way. This is why I also mentioned, you know, in a couple of videos where I said that I would imagine that there will be some kind of heat between Beerus and Goku somewhere along the arc, and potentially that could also add up to their potential rematch if there is one. But it would give Beerus. I think Beerus at this point will look at him in a different light. At this point, he needs him because, again, the Gods of Destruction can't fight. But he needs him to win. And then I feel like I would like to see him handle him.
No, of course, I would love to see Beerus just step in and say, you know what, I told you not to disobey me, and what did you do? You went to Omni King. So I would like to see him break the button and see what Goku's gonna do about it. However, you spoke about moral responsibility. Someone might say, well, that's not true. Goku's always been morally responsible.
Up until now.
I'm about to bring up some examples. He forgets the sensu beans when he goes out to the future to fight the same people that just whooped his ass and stabbed his friend. You forget the sensu beans in the bathroom. Not only that, but you forget many other different things. There was
the ceiling tag for the Mafuba.
He was very incompetent in Super. It's Goku's not retarded. He's not stupid. He's very incompetent. He's very reckless in a way. He's disregarding what's around him, and he's focusing more on this one thing.
Yes,
even when he went into the future, right?
Right.
Let's say, for example, when they went into the future, do you know how many opportunities Goku may have had to use Kaioken to aggressively put down Black without allowing him to get stronger? None of this whole monkey business of him trying to see how strong Black can get. No, if when you realize that the entire future is destroyed, you have a responsibility. Take care of business now, rather than it coming back and biting you in the ass later. And he didn't do that. And that's why I feel like he's morally incompetent. Now, going into this tournament, I can definitely see him saying to himself, well, I have Super Saiyan Blue, I have Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, that's gonna hold me up, like none of y'all can touch me. Until, like I said, someone walks along and beats his ass. Now, it might be the masked person that we see him fighting in the intro. It might be someone else, but I think it's bound to happen because, and I really hope that from that he gets humbled and he doesn't, you know, like now that he's experienced the multiverse, he's experienced all these great fighters. Now I really hope
what
that
is there after that, right?
Exactly. It's like I hope that he focuses more on trying to tone it down a bit and trying to perfect his powers rather than seeking out people that are stronger. Hey, if you want to talk about people that are stronger, Beerus is stronger, Whis is stronger. How come he's not going out and challenging them over and over again to be better than them? If you want to become the greatest first, take it step by step, and you can see, you can clearly see his selfishness because, dude, Whis is training him. Whis is arguably, if anything, the strongest in Universe 7. When you have a person that's the strongest in your universe train you, why are you passing that offer up just to see the other fighters in the multiverse? Why? How, like, what kind of sense does that make? I mean,
I think it's because he's immortal.
No, he's also he's curious, yes, but don't you think that, especially when Whis and Beerus tell you, like, listen, there are entities out there, there are beings out there that, you know, are far beyond our comprehension. You need to chill out.
Yeah, I don't mean to like interrupt, but it's like, okay, if you know, there's a religious speaker that I know. She's a woman, right? And she speaks of, and she gives motivational speeches to women and basically to everybody who are like down and depressed about life and stuff like that. And I don't mean to I'm not trying to bring that kind of atmosphere into this discussion, but there's a quote from her or something along the lines that as to what she said that kind of fits to what Goku is at this point. I think it references it pretty well. Basically, what she says is that you know, there are things in this life that you hold dear to you that you have, but it's like, but they might be like a knife to you, but you won't see it that way. So when God takes it away from you, or when it's taken away from you, you cry, not understanding that it could potentially harm you. All you know is that you want it back. You don't know what's best for you. I think the same. Again, I did a poor job of explaining it, but I think it's similar to Goku's case at this point. His character. And he doesn't know what's best for him. He doesn't know, you know. He just goes into things blindly. You know, again, like when Whis and Beerus were telling him, "Yo, don't do it. We don't know what could happen." Goku's response was, "Oh, so you mean there's someone out there who's really terrible?" No, that's not what we're saying. We're speaking a plain language that you understand. We're telling you not to get involved in this stuff.
And he egged on Beerus. He said, if I press this side, I go to him. If I press
which
this
one
side,
should I press?
he
like
comes
him.
to me. Which
Gee,
side?
which one? It's almost as if he was throwing. It's almost as if he was throwing his relationship with Zeno in Beerus's face.
Yeah,
you know?
yes,
and I feel
he
like,
knows. Yep.
Right, and I feel like that's why Beerus got to that point where it's like, you know what? How about I fucking destroy your ass right now? Like, you know,
that's exactly how it went down.
You know?
And the way he said it, he was like, he looked at him with a smirk and he says, "So which should I press?" And Beerus is like, "Listen, do not press that fucking button." And he was gonna wreck him right there. But also going back to his relationship with Goten, his relationship with Vegeta. Vegeta said, "Yo, my wife is pregnant, chill out." He said, "Well, fuck that. Let's just go anyway. You're not the one that's pregnant." It's like, who does that? You know? And Vegeta's like, "Yo, like, what's wrong with you?" He realizes, like, even though for the first time I think that I've ever seen Vegeta not trained,
for Bulma.
He's always been this guy has been destroying his body left and right. And for the first time he was like, "No, you know what? There are some things that are just a little bit more important than training." And Goku's like, "Well, fuck that. Don't be mad at me when I'm stronger than you." And it's just like, we'll see, whatever. So even with that, we see how Goku's like, "Well, fuck having a kid. Let's go train." Even with Goten.
And before people bring up the fact that Goku was raised a certain way, they're saying they don't really understand the bonds between a family as to where Vegeta does because he had a father, Goku didn't, blah, blah, blah. No, that has nothing to do with this. Goku, one point in time, it's apparent. If you guys are gonna, okay, again, we're not bashing him. So again, I feel like we have to remind you guys that we're not bashing him. Again, I did defend Goku. And we both defended Goku in this discussion a couple times, but we also disagreed with him. So what we're saying is Goku, he does care. At one point, it looked like he did care for his family. That's all he ever fought for. He never fought for himself. He always fought for others. He was known for that. That's what made him a hero.
And he still did. Remember when Zamasu told him that he killed Bulma and I mean not Bulma,
and he got
Chi-Chi?
mad.
Yeah,
so
he got infuriated.
Even though that wasn't his family from his respective timeline, the thought of losing Chi-Chi and Goten to someone of this nature, to someone like this, drove him crazy.
And keep in mind, guys, he was stabbed. He had a giant hole in his chest, and he was still fighting.
So he does care. So before you guys say that, they don't understand that, the relationship, no, Goku cares. He cares about, but now again, like I said, they're just making this about him. This is Goku's time. He's on vacation, so to speak. It's just about Goku. But at the same time, he's kind of fucking, he's kind of dragging everybody else into this shit in the process. So it's like, well, it goes back to what I was saying. I guess, when I was complaining that I feel like his supporting cast doesn't step up to the plate enough. And now they have no choice but to, because the universe is on the line. So
it's not only that, but I really hope that he just evolves even more, because as Dragon Ball Super continues, we have a lot to look forward to.
I have a question for you.
What's up?
Do you think going back to my whole reference to roses are red, violets are blue?
Yeah.
If this is a new transformation, if it is a new transformation, I do believe this is where they're basing it off of. Where he's red now, so roses are red and violets are blue. Again, they base everything they do off of something. So what I have to, my question to you is, the more selfish he's becoming, and the more about himself he's becoming, do you feel like this power might eventually end up blinding him down the line, where it kind of corrupts him? Again, I'm not saying he's gonna be evil. I'm not saying anything about Goku Black. No, before you guys even mention it, no.
Right.
But this does give us a distinct reminder as to what Goku Black was. How eventually he was yearning for power. He was power hungry. He was amazed at his own power. He constantly wanted to get stronger. So much so to the point where he avoided becoming immortal. And it's everything in these arcs have given us reminders as to something that happened in the previous arc. Yeah. So I feel like, do you feel like if being a Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, requires a calm mind and perfect ki control, how do you incorporate that when you're slowly becoming more selfish and slowly becoming more self-minded? Or more of that lone wolf, and having more of a tunnel vision. How does that work?
Well, in essence, the same can be said about Vegeta back when he had first achieved 1, then 2. He was clouded by the judgment of always becoming stronger through selfish desires.
But we're talking about God powers.
No, definitely. But even with that, if by some chance this is a new form, and if by some chance Goku gets it first, and he has this new ability,
and he will if he does.
I think in my opinion, he's going to strive to find something above that, which I hope does never happen, because if there's another form, leave it at that, make it the final form, emphasize that, yes, this is the
Super
strongest.
Saiyan green.
Yeah, like Super Saiyan white or some shit, like just anything, and just emphasize it over and over again, like, listen, this is the max that a Saiyan can possibly get to. There's nothing beyond that, and I really hope that Goku, in his mind, he thinks, well, there has to be, and he continues to try to push that limit in a way, which kind of reflects back on the song. But in an essence, do I think it's gonna get to his head? Not as much as you would assume. I think that once everything is settled, it's kind of hard to say where Goku's mind's gonna be. All right, he just fought all the people in the other multiverses and stuff. So what's next for him? What's his next great challenge? Is he gonna try to challenge the gods now? Is that gonna be his mission? Is he gonna try to challenge Zenchan in terms of power? Is that?
Well, I think that's again. That goes
is that
back
what he's gonna
to,
push for? You don't really know. But I just don't think that it's gonna be Goku yearning for more. I mean, granted, yes, he's gonna yearn for more, but more or less on a different standard. Instead of fighting regular people now, all throughout the multiverse, now he either A, might go back and tell Beerus, well, alright, I fought everybody, and for some reason you're the most unique fighter I fought, so I want to go ahead and see if I can have one more round with you now that I have this new this new power and stuff. So maybe that's the case. Maybe he might go back and say, you know what, I've done all this reflecting, I've grown so much since I fought you the first time, how's about we get one more shot and I fight you with all this experience that I have now. That'll make sense for me, right? Because then you'll have the final rematch between those two. However, going about it a different way, I don't want to see Goku now pursue the Grand Priest or Zeno. It's like there's
No,
a
that's too
limit.
much.
There's a
That's
limit,
overkill.
bro. There's a
That's
fucking
overkill.
limit.
Oh, he's a limit
Stay
breaker.
within your lane, man. Don't.
He doesn't know how to do that.
It's like stay within
That's-
your lane. But
yeah,
if you guys have
you're
any
right.
other opinions that differ from ours, comment down below and let us know what you guys think about his demeanor, Goku's power, if you believe this is a new form, if it's a technique. What are your thoughts on his overall character development? Me and Emosh would like to know down below, guys. Again, we like to say thank you all so very much for watching. Emosh, do you have anything to add before we go?
No, same thing you said, man. Thanks
Krillin's
for
a
watching.
god.
Really appreciate it.
Krillin the god.
Well, yeah, yeah, the Krillin god. Stay away from the clickbait, guys.
Yeah, stay away from all the Krillin being a Super Saiyan god.
You know, it's funny. Just before doing this video, we actually got kind of, or Alex got amped up because we I don't want to put the names out there again. It's not my channel, but we were looking at some videos. Just
Golden
stay away
hit,
from the
pink
clickbait.
hit,
Golden
all these-
pink
oh,
hit.
God.
Universe 7 has a hit now. What do you call it? Legendary Super Saiyan Future Kids plus Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta
and
versus
stuff.
Super
It's
Saiyan
just-
Blue,
it's horrible.
Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegito, pink hit, white green Gohan, green beers. Stay away from it, guys. Drugs are bad.
Drugs
right?
bad. Okay?
But thanks so much for watching. We really
Thank you guys for
appreciate it.
watching.
And
If you guys
yeah,
are fans,
I'll
don't
catch you
forget
guys in
to
the comment section.
subscribe. And also don't forget to leave a like down below if you guys enjoyed the discussion. I'm going to leave Emosh's channel down below in the description so you guys can go on ahead and subscribe to him as well. Thank you all so very much for watching. Tune in for more, and we'll be seeing you all in the next video. Take it easy, guys. Peace.